I am mistaken, Board Control didn't have a Hunter,
Right,
so
right.
I rescind my previous comment. But a lot of Hunter has been seen tonight, and it is going to be this Elemental Shaman, the Firefly, the ultimate giveaway of that. And a Stormforged Axe.
Well then.
Is this an aggressive Pirate Shaman I see before me?
So I like Stormforged Axes simply because people are bringing Jade Claws and not bringing any other Jade cards. And Stormforged Axe has the extra durability, but with the disadvantage of not having a 1-1 on the board. The question is, how relevant is that 1-1 against cards like Firefly? There are a lot of 1-2s in the meta right now.
Yeah. And something me and you were talking about earlier when discussing the variants of Elemental Shaman and Shaman in general was, you know, is Jade Claws really that good if you're not running the rest of the Jades? The 2 damage often doesn't feel like enough. And we even dared bring up the discussion of, do you run the nerfed Spirit Claws? Is that a thing?
Well, Cipher's not quite gone that far, but he's gone ahead with Stormforged Axe, which, like I said, it is just ever so slightly different to Jade Claws, and I guess he favors that extra durability over the 1-1, and we'll see if that helps pay off. It looks like he's just running a more mid-rangey Elemental Shaman list with the Bloodlust there as a win condition.
I got a little bit too excited when I saw the patches alongside a weapon. I was like, oh my god, innovation!
Well, you know how it is these days. Pirates can just wiggle their way into any deck that you could possibly want. Maybe not Freeze Mage. Maybe the rest of them.
I don't know. That early pressure could make the difference. But Stormforged Axe likely the play here, just to get these trades off to a good start, and also to open up Southsea Deckhand next turn, along with the patches out of the top of the deck. We'll see how Cipher chooses to play this, though. You could also go with a trade into Maelstrom Portal, but it feels like maybe a little bit of a waste of value when it comes to the Maelstrom.
The thing is, this Axe into the Southsea Deckhand feels very strong.
Yes. A lot of value. And also, you have the 2 1-drops that the Overload will not matter this turn.
Meanwhile, Jambre, he's got to totem up. He could play Maelstrom Portal.
Yeah.
I think he has to totem up.
There is a very tempting offer to go for a Maelstrom Portal right there. You win board control, right? But immediately you would get punished when these 2 1-drops come down. Patches as well will come off the top. 2 Bloodlusts in this deck for Cipher. A lot of the time with Bloodlust, you see just 1 in the deck because it's kind of that, sometimes this card wins me the game, but a lot of the time, if you fall behind on board, it just sits in your hand the entire game. But the Deckhand will come down now alongside Patches and another Flame Elemental. And we'll be able to sweep up the rest of this board with his weapon and that Pirate.
This is quite the swing turn from Cipher, but any Shaman board clear really would deal with this. And that Maelstrom Portal seems just as good as any. Wow.
And what a draw to find as well. Jambre's face is a picture of happiness as he finds his Blood Cell Corsair to finish off the weapon, pull out a 1-1, and the Maelstrom Portal finishes off the rest of the board. He even finds a little bit of Wind Fury to play with.
Meanwhile, Cipher looking pretty nonchalant still.
Yeah, I mean...
Not even blinking.
Honestly, I'm impressed with how still Cipher's been able to stay in this game.
I'm sorry, I had to make that joke at some point. you can't cast one of these games annoying.
Unfortunately, no Wrath of Air Totem. So Cipher, I mean, still not reacting to that, but
we can stop that now.
We'll get a Possessed Villager though, which is a nice little find off the Maelstrom Portal.
Yeah, Possessed Village is great. It's a shame he didn't get the spell damage, as you said. Jambre, though, having to play a 3-mana minion on turn 4 because he didn't get the Elemental curving out over the last few turns. He can play the Tolvir Stone Shaper next turn, which is fine, just slightly awkward. Cipher with double Bloodlust, by the way. That is, he's making a statement there.
Yeah, absolutely, but also able to go quite wide. Kind of baffling to me that he has Jade Spirit and Stormforged Axe. This says to me that he might actually also have Jade Claws in this deck, in which case he's just very afraid of how many early aggression decks there are in the meta right now. You've got the Druid, you've got Pirate Warrior, you've got 1,000 other very aggressive early game decks.
It does seem like it would just be strictly wrong to run Stormforged Axe and no Jade Claws in a deck where you're also running Jade Lightning. So yeah, he must run both Jade Claws as well. This is a very heavy Jade package deck here, with Jade Spirit, a card that really isn't seen that much at the moment either.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, at this point, I want to say this is potentially just not an Elemental Shaman. Instead, a Jade Shaman, and the Firefly is just a great card early on. Just great for fighting for early board pressure.
You know what? You could be absolutely right there.
Especially with the Stormforged Axe, right? If you're willing to run a Stormforged Axe, you're that desperate to fight for early board control, Fire Elemental definitely seems like a card you would run.
Yeah, it looked at the beginning that Cipher's deck was very, very aggressive because the South Sea deckhand, because the wide board he had. But looking at it more carefully now with Jade Lightning, with double Jade Spirit, this is a deck that's actually fighting for the late game, and it's going to do a very good job at fighting for the late game if he doesn't just win with Bloodlust first.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got double Bloodlust right here and a very wide board. Cipher, obviously, while there is a taunt to deal with right now, could look at a 2-turn lethal if the taunt wasn't a factor right now. Calamos, though, is going to be nice. It does mean that you can't really play this Flame Elemental on curve like you would like to, because you need to activate Calamos the turn after.
Yep, that's absolutely right. So next turn, the Fire Elemental is going to come down, which is fine, by the way. Like, Fire Elemental is a very strong card. You probably don't mind playing that turn 7. You have complete control of the board, and Cipher, he does pick up his second Jade Lightning, which is okay, but he's not really able to develop that much. What a great roll from his hero power, though. That Jade Lightning now going to tear through the Tolbeer Shapeshifter. That's wrong again. Stone Shaper. What is wrong with me with the name of that card?
I don't know. New expansion, man. Just blame it on that. But
Shape Show Stone Shapeshifter.
33% chance, though, to find that Wrath of Air. Rolls those dice and will find his answer. Fire Elemental, though, the perfect answer for any kind of board presence that Cipher has. Just those totems remaining now. And once again, that Bloodlust, can't really use it effectively. However, you can drop a Jade Spirit as well as Totem and Thing from Below.
Yeah, that's a pretty good turn from Cipher, though ironically, Calamos seems to be a Shaman's worst nightmare. And also a Shaman's best friend at the same time. Depends which side of the board you're sitting on. It's not going to deal with the Jade Golem or the Thing from Below, though, so it's only going to tear through the totems. Maybe that's not so bad for Cipher.
Yeah, you'd also get rid of the Jade Spirit, but with a 4/4 and a 5/5 will still remain on the board. It is your entire turn. You are going to end up losing the Fire Elemental to those as well. I'm not 100% sure if it's the best play. I think you maybe have to go for it anyway.
I don't think Jambre has any choice.
What you could do is trade in with your 8/5 and then fill the board with Elementals.
Yep, that's worth considering. Problem with that is that the Jade Spirit and the Jade Golem both trade in, both get healed back up again. It's kind of awkward. Yeah. Jambre going to do something different entirely. Looks like he's going to drop the Hot Springs Guardian and either Thanos or drop a Totem. Depends how desperate he is for card draw here. I like this. It's kind of trying to force a better Calamos next turn.
And he might just be able to find it, especially if he drops this and finds a Wrath of Air Totem that forces the Jade Spirit into trading. However, these Bloodlusts in hand, we're getting close to turn 10.
Oh man, if Cipher had one more mana, I think this game would just be over.
Yeah, I think I might just be right on that one. The Taunt will be a little bit of a pain to deal with, but the Hex could potentially be a big deal.
I think Cipher just has to Bloodlust here. I think he just Bloodlusts and makes the best trades he can. The 1/1 goes into the 4/4. The Jade Spirit goes into the Fire Elemental. The Totems trade into the remainder of Jambre's deck, board I mean, and then Cipher has complete control.
However, he does find himself in a situation where Calamos will basically ruin his entire day. Does end up going for that Bloodlust in the end. And there's a question of whether or not you drop a Hex this turn. I don't think you do.
Nah, it doesn't do anything.
And I think the fact that this final card has been in Jambre's hand for quite some time, I think whether or not it's obvious it's Calamos, I think you assume it's Calamos because that's worst case scenario.
And it's okay. The 4/4 survives, at least, against Calamos here. Managed to put 7 damage into the face, not all that much. But Jambre's not going to waste any time here. The question is, as he's seen a Bloodlust already, Does he assume that there is no second Bloodlust, and as a result, fill his board with elementals?
It's certainly
It's a
definitely an
possibility,
option.
right?
We know that there's another Maelstrom Portal in this deck for Cipher. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lightning Storms in here as well. And as we said before, potentially a Kalamos in here, since we saw those Fireflies. It is a possibility. I don't know whether you really run it when there's not that much.
Ooh, wow. Jambre is being really greedy with this Kalamos.
Yeah, he wants the best possible bargain he can find right now. There will only be 3 minions on the board. 4!
That's still not lethal.
There's only 19 damage.
16. The face can't attack as well.
I can't count.
No, I can't count. No, it is 16.
It is 16, you're right. It is 16.
We got there. Casters should not do maths. Confirm.
Oh dear. Between us, we've been pretty terrible at maths so far on this stream. Now, Hex, is this a situation where you decide to use it on the Fire Elemental? Once again, that singular card has stayed in the hand of Jambre for quite some time. But the difference between hexing a 6-5 and hexing a 7-7 post its effect, is that going to be a big deal?
He's doing it. He's made the trade. There goes the Hex.
I think the logic is like, if that's not Kalamos, at least I have a huge board next turn to Bloodlust.
So
we'll commit everything at this stage.
So it's the, okay, I'm not playing to beat that one card, I'm playing to beat everything else. Unfortunately, Cipher's play does not beat the one card that Jambre does happen to have.
Yep.
And there goes his board.
And we said Jambre was being a little bit greedy with that Kalamos, but realistically, while there was a lot of minions on board, there actually wasn't that much pressure coming out from them because they were all 0-2 totems. The Argent Squire simply not enough this late in the game. Wrath of Air Totem not going to do anything.
Jambre timed it very, very well, actually. Waited for Cipher to overextend, as I guess Jambre assumed he would eventually. And now, Jambre has complete control. Argent Squire, really not what Cipher was looking for there. Cipher wants to pick up a card like Aya to get some big Jades onto the board. And honestly, if you're running cards like, if you're running 2 Bloodlusts, if you're running Argent Squire, I doubt you run that many more Jade cards. Like, I wouldn't expect to see Jade Chieftains, for example.
No, absolutely not. This might just be the end of the first game. Obviously, we're still a few turns to go. I don't want to call it before it happens. However, this Bloodlust in the hand, not going to be able to do anything in this game. Maelstrom Portal doesn't feel like it's enough.
Oh.
No Wrath of Air Totem either. We'll have to just drop that and pray for a Stone Tusk Boar.
That's kind of okay. It's almost like you got a Wrath of Air Totem from the
Yeah.
It's gonna,
in an abstract way.
it's gonna pop your own Argent Squire's Divine Shield as well, so not ideal, but
it certainly could be worse.
when you're in Cipher's position right now, you have to think in an abstract way, or you're gonna get some negative thoughts, I think.
Yes. The Maelstrom Portal as well. It's going to be sad times for this little Firefly on the side of Jambre, who will drop, and also a 2-1. Unfortunately, not finding a 1-2 there. But it does mean that board control is well and truly in the hands of Jambre as he fills his side up with those totems. And I think it's relatively safe to assume that Jambre is also going to be running a Bloodlust somewhere in this deck. Or whether or not it's a guarantee.
Some do, some don't. I wouldn't want to guarantee it, no, but it's quite likely.
So
yeah, there you go. Confirmed. Cipher does run Jade Claws as well as Stormforged Axe. I assume he runs 2 copies of Jade Claws. We may well see in the next couple of games, as I expect that any moment now we see Cipher drop the concede. Well, immediately after we see what he draws here.
Elemental Destruction. Are you ready for the comeback?
Argent Squire, not quite going to cut it.
Yeah, and twice, very late on in that game, he top decks an Argent Squire. Not a fun situation, but it is going to be Jambre winning out that Shaman Mirror. And what is it a mirror if they're entirely different decks? I'm not sure. But Cipher's Jade version, not really paying off.
It's a class mirror. It's just not a deck mirror. I don't know. Like, Elemental Shaman pretty strong.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Kalamos specifically being MVP of that game, right?
Yeah, and also Jambre waiting for the perfect moment, not being overzealous, not being not playing too quick with that card. It's so easy to see Calamus and just drop it on turn 8 because it's so powerful, but Jambre waiting for the perfect moment, waiting until he could guarantee that that card, it didn't just get value, it won him the game. But, I mean, honestly, Cipher's Jade Shaman not really paying off, and maybe this is one of those things where, as you said, he's been on holiday for a week. If he's just net decked this, maybe first of all it's not the greatest version of Shaman, but second of all, maybe it's something that he's just simply not practiced that much and doesn't really know exactly what to look for.
He didn't tell me whose lineup he took, so you have to assume it's someone who he respects.
Yeah.
But I agree, it could be largely down to practice. He gets a pretty good matchup here with the Hunter versus Miracle Rogue, although, as you know from earlier, the Hunter was able, the Miracle Rogue, Duncan's Miracle Rogue was able to beat the Hunter. And I always get quite excited watching this deck. I particularly enjoy new Miracle Rogue with the Sherazin flower. Look how happy he is for a corpse.
That is a creepy card.
But so happy.
I mean, yeah, but mostly creepy. I think creepy before happy.
I disagree. Happy before creepy. We're just going to have to agree to disagree on this one, Match.
Yeah, agree to differ. Alley Cat available as a play here. Matches the 1/1s on board. Doesn't feel that great to drop Candy Grandmother or Fiery Bat here, just because... Oh, there's Sherazin as well. The Corpse Flower himself.
Such a fantastic card. Shows off a brand new mechanic, Go Dormant. When it dies, it turns into a seed that it's not even possible to interact with. You can't remove the Sherazin seed. But once you play 4 more cards, it jumps back to life. Very nice card.
I don't know if I like coining out the Fiery Bat there, just because these 1/1s trade so well into it. You trade away one of the 1/1s and then you get basically a free value trade, because that 1 damage is going to go to face. I think maybe just hold on to the coin there and hope that he trades both 1/1s into your Alley Cat.
So he's done it because he still curves fine into the Kindly Grandmother. I guess if something did live, then Crackling Razormaw could have gone off, but one way or another, this Crackling Razormaw is very likely to go off this turn. Jambre could decide to punch the Kindly Grandmother and then backstab it. Either way, getting Sherazin onto the board very early is huge for the Rogue, because it's a resource that just goes on and on and on the entire game.
I think in this scenario, he is going to go for the backstab here. I would have liked to see him hold on to the backstab just because it's a free card and you have Sherazin in play. It is often, if you like, when you've got a hand like Jambre has right now, sometimes it can be difficult to actually get that rebirth on Sherazin and actually get it back into the game again. Things like backstab are huge tools in making that happen.
On the flip side, you could argue that by using the backstab there, he's reducing the likelihood of Cipher killing Sherazin in the first place, and
reduce the necessity.
Yeah, and keeping tempo on Jambre's side of the board. Mimic Pod, huge card for Jambre here. I doubt it gets played this turn. It seems very mana inefficient. I quite like the cat trick, actually, given that Animal Companion is very likely to come out soon. The Unleash the Hound that we can see in hand. You don't mind having a free 4/2 with stealth if you're Jambre.
I mean, honestly, of all of the cards to find out of a Hunter deck, I think cat trick is one of the most, like, just all-around cards, you know? Like, there's a very few situations where cat trick isn't going to be great. I think maybe against Zoo is one of the only scenarios.
Right. But now looking at Jambre's strategy is very, very clear. Sapping away the Kindly Grandmother, he just wants Cipher to have nothing on the board. He doesn't want Sherazin to die in the first place. He's kind of treating it like Tomb Pillager, which it is, I guess, spiritual successor to. It's a 5-attack beat stick that's not going anywhere. It's just going to keep smacking Cipher in the face, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah, now Cipher has a few decisions to make. Rat Pack would ruin the kind of remove everything from the board mentality that's been going on right here, but it doesn't fill your mana curve nicely enough, and kind of Grandmother with an adapt certainly going to feel like a bit of a nicer scenario, especially if you can get attack just to make it, or poison just to make sure that Sherazin can't get any value trades.
Right. Okay. It's fine, but Jambre will be able to deal with it easily enough if he hits it with his weapon, although then obviously the Big Bad Wolf comes out. Mimic Pod, quite an obvious way of starting this turn. 2 more saps. Yeah, you know Jambre won't be complaining about this. I imagine one goes straight into the grandmother. Sap it away again.
Yeah. That's the second time you've played that, and that's the second time I'm going to send it straight on back to your hand and smack you in the face once again. Certainly a good lead to start this game for Jambre, but the 2 Slayers in hand, not the greatest situation, just because he has nothing really to activate the combo.
Right, but very, very soon, like, I mean, this Bitterhide Hydra either gets sapped or slain by the Vastbind Slayer. Gadgetzan Auctioneer, a little bit awkward draw there. He would have liked a card he could play with sap.
Yep.
Didn't quite happen. In fact, what does sapping that achieve here? It just kind of digs you 1 card deeper into your deck, because the Bittertide Hydra comes back out again.
Yeah.
It just saves 8 damage temporarily. I don't mind Auctioneer.
I think you have to play Auctioneer, or one of the Slayers just naked on the board, because if you play the sap this turn and you don't draw another 2-mana card, you still can't actually deal with the Hydra. You still don't have an activator for your Slayers. So I think you have to hold on to the sap and hope that... I mean, it's a fairly safe assumption that there is going to be a second minion coming out, but we can see that there's another Bitterside Hydra in the hand of Cipher. I think in Cipher's situation, having seen, 2 saps already, you're quite happy to play them both, especially now that a Slayer's gone down. Little does he know that a Sap Slayer combo is the perfect answer to the double Hydra.
Right. It's pretty nice, assuming that the Hydra trades into the Vile Spine Slayer. This turn, Cipher's still taking 3 damage. What's really interesting to me is just how aggressively Jambre has managed to play this game so far. It's turn 6. He's still got 27 health. Cipher is the one that's down to 19.
The issue being, Jambre's running out of steam. He's running out of ways to actually win this game, and Cipher, he ain't fussed about training right now. He wants a face race.
You know,
as we discussed earlier, no taunts, no healing for this rogue.
all it would take for Jambre to get some steam is a preparation, or a counterfeit coin even. Like Auctioneer, counterfeit coin sap, Auctioneer preparation sap, both would have been fantastic. Unfortunately, doesn't pick either of them up. Now, what are you sapping and what are you using Vastbind Slayer on if that's your play this turn? And are you also, like, Sharazan is just not coming back to life.
Yeah, so you Slayer onto the 8/8. Yeah, you're absolutely right about Sharazan, but this is the perfect sap because the minions cannot deal with these 3/4s. He doesn't have a way to actually kill them. Obviously, we know Call of the Hounds, or Unleash the Hounds, sorry, is going to be in hand. Second time I've said that tonight.
It's a pretty good name for the card. I like it. Go with it.
But actually, does Unleash the Hounds add an extra 1/1 for the Seed of Sharazan?
No, I don't believe it does. Although the Sharazan mechanics, I'm not 100%
Actually, technically it's a permanent, not a minion, right? So the text on the card says minions, so I'll assume not until I'm proven otherwise.
like, it does some weird things, like it blocks Defender of Argus, for example, yet Ragnaros can't hit it. So it does some pretty weird things. I'm yet to fully comprehend what the Seed does. So this will be good for both of us to learn. That said, Unleash the Hounds, if it does get played, will of course proc that secret.
Yes.
Which may also summon an extra hound.
And perhaps the reason that Cypher's not actually going for that one this game, going for the trade here, just so this 3/2 is in play, and that kind of forces Jambre's hand here. He's probably going to have to trade with the 3/2 himself, and once again finding another. He has 3 cards in his hand right now that are fully dependent on him finding lots of combo cards, but he has none of those puzzle pieces to put together with it.
So despite how strong a start Jambre had, by putting that Seed on early, using the backstab, clearing Cypher's board before he could do any damage, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have yielded results for Jambre. Unfortunately, Sharazan did act just like a Tomb Pillager. It never came back to life. It didn't even give Jambre a coin.
Now,
he does have to trade, unfortunately.
He does have to trade. Hopefully this Firebat doesn't hit either plant. It doesn't.
Okay.
Jambre is not out of the running just yet.
He might be right there. Crackling Razor Maw has the ability to give the Bitterhide Hydra Wind Fury.
That would be absolutely huge.
This is one
Call
off
of the
lethal
Hounds
here,
as
right?
well. Will proc that cat trick, and actually means that there is a way back in with that extra 4 damage.
Only 4 hounds, by the way, confirmed. Seed does not count, nor did the cat in the hat. There you go, that's lethal.
Volcanic Might is going to be enough in the end with the Hunter Hero Power just to finish things off. That steady shot, evening up this series to 1 apiece as the Face Hunter will take on this Miracle Rogue. And you got to feel a little bit sorry for Jambre in that one.
It's sad. It didn't even turn out to be a close game in the end. Like, it really looked like he had the early game advantage. But when a Rogue, as you put it, ran out of steam, gets all the pieces that you need the cheap spells for, but doesn't get any of the cheap spells, it just all falls apart. Yeah,
it certainly did. And, like, I mean, that deck specifically relies so much on the Razor Petals. Like, there are so many cards that give you those Razor Petals. It's a 1-mana card that deals 1 damage, and it acts as that kind of combo activator. It brings Sherazin back to life, and so many other things that it achieves in this specific deck. He didn't find a single one all game, so really unfortunate scenario for Jambre, but very good play from Cipher. And importantly, I think the turn that really shows that Cipher knew how to play against the deck he was against was when he said, okay, I'm just going to race you. I have a Bittertide Hydra. I don't need to trade. I'm just going to finish you off before you can actually find the cards that you clearly need.
It's funny because it kind of harkens back to, again, way back when the Bittertide Hydra's prequel, or the card that came before it was the Fel Reaver. Rather than dealing 3 damage to your own face, you mill 3 cards. And Bittertide Hydra is just so much better because, unlike the Fel Reaver, it can just stay on the board with no punish for you, just the potential losing a little bit of health each time. You don't lose your whole deck in the process. So, Bittertide Hydra, as you've been saying to me all day, really strong card.
Yep, absolutely. And as is customary with Token Druid, you automatically start with either Living Mana or Bittertide Hydra in your hand. There is no other way about it.
Well, you'd much prefer here that it was Bittertide Hydra, because unfortunately, if you coin Innovate out Living Mana on turn 2, you only get 2 mana crystals on the board. People weren't, before we knew about that mechanic, people were thinking, what, that's crazy. If you coin Innovated out on turn 5, you get 5 mana crystals, they die, you ramp up. No, doesn't work like that. That would be stupidly broken.
This is actually, despite the clunky hand, looking phenomenal for Jambre. With that Corsair pulling patches out of the deck, suddenly you've gone from, I mean, he didn't even have the Argent Squire in his opening hand. He found both the Pirate and the Squire off the top of his deck, and it's turned into a phenomenal turn 2.
Yeah, I mean, and with the threat of Savage Roar coming down soon as well, I assume Cipher goes ahead and drops Stormforged Axe here.
Yep.
Gets rid of one of the minions, probably patches.
Proving the value of this Stormforged Axe at least, but again, doesn't really curve that well with the rest of his hand.
The question you have to ask here is, would Jade Claws have been better? Right here, yes it would, because
I mean,
he have a 2/2 on the board.
He already played Jade Claws.
But like, yeah, he already played one. He probably has another one in his deck. Defender of Argus is insane here, buffing up both minions to 3/3s with Taunt. Stormforged Axe isn't going to do anything to them. And Cipher only has 3 mana, so he can't play Jade Lightning.
I mean, the benefit of starting your game with both Savage Roar and Jade and Living Mana in your hand is that you're probably going to find useful cards for the rest of the game, because there ain't that many high mana cost cards in the deck.
Right.
Maelstrom Portal, find patches to Pirate. Not the most useful one.
It's always entertaining, right, when that happens. You're right, it doesn't even, not even going to attack this turn, it's just a 1/1.
So 5, 6, 7 damage on board with 8 coming out from Savage Roar. That's lethal.
Yeah.
Jambre's just won the game with Innovate in hand as well as Savage Roar. Is that right? Yeah, 7
It's either lethal or it's 1-off.
He has 8 from the Savage Roar with 3 minions and 2 on face. And
I was trying to work out if he needed to hero power as well. He obviously doesn't have the mana for that, but nope, you're absolutely right. It's just lethal.
So, the power of this, I mean, if we needed an example of why every single player is bringing this deck to the tournament, this is exactly why. Because we saw how clunky, how bad the starting hand for Jambre was. It just didn't matter. It simply did not matter. And, I mean, even if this turn he hadn't got lethal, the next turn he just drops Living Mana and just says, okay, you've already used a Maelstrom Portal, you've already used 2 weapons, what do you have to actually deal with this ridiculous board?
when you look at the strongest decks in the meta right now, aggro druid included, it's funny because I like to think back to when people were making the predictions about what classes would be good, what wouldn't be, and like, druid completely missed in terms of how good it would be, along with quest rogue, etc., etc. So it's just so exciting to me seeing this meta forming in front of us. And as you quite rightly said, everyone is playing aggro druid. It's very, very strong.
Yeah, aggro druid definitely feels like kind of the new pirate warrior almost. It's like this deck that I think for quite some time it's going to be in just about every lineup until we see something come out that's very, very good at dealing with that, because as we saw right there, it is so consistent.
All of these aggressive decks have to have something that's disgusting to play against, right? Like, so against Pirate Warrior, it's the fact that you just have these weapons that they're just upgrading over and over again. You can't do anything about it. With the aggro druid, it's Savage Roar and Living Mana. Like, the combinations of these cards is just horrible to play against, because you have to constantly make bad trades just to make sure that you don't get overrun by these cheap minions.
Yeah, it feels like it feels a little bit like old combo druid. While it's not in one turn, I mean, maybe it's just the fact that it's treants, right? But we've even seen some with the Soul of the Forest run as well. So you can go Living Mana, and then the next turn, if they haven't dealt with the Living Mana already, you Soul of the Forest, and immediately you've won the game.
Now, I believe this is Cipher's last chance with this Shaman deck. Jambre has actually beaten it twice already, and it could just be the big flaw in Cipher's lineup.
Yeah, so Jambre is 2-1 up right now. So we will be able to get that overlay corrected in just a second for you guys. SI7 Agent in the hand here, as well as that Lasher, but no combo activators. Well, obviously you've got that prep, but nothing to use with the prep to activate combos. Swashbuckler would be a combo activator though.
Yeah, I mean, Jambre is getting there, right? Like, he's got the cheap stuff in his hand. Lotus Illusionist is going to be absolutely fine to play on turn 4 if he doesn't pick up something better. And soon, when he gets the Auctioneer, when he gets the Edwin, when he gets the Sherazin, looks like this game he's going to be a little bit better off than he was last time. He might actually have the tools to combo with.
So Swashbuckler, Deckhand, sorry, will come on down. The patches to answer the previous patches. Suddenly, Cipher says, I know that you've got a big board, but mine's ever so slightly bigger. Take that. But Jambre, I don't think will mind all too much. He has a couple of cards available, a couple of ways to play this turn. Those Razor Petals could come in very, very useful. But he does have to be careful using those Razor Petals. You do not want to burn them and not actually be able to use them for their intended purpose.
Now, Hallucination is a card like the Razor Petal, which obviously can be used very cheaply with all the combo pieces, but I don't think we've talked about it yet tonight. I think it's one of the reasons Miracle Rogue is so strong right now. Turns out, being able to choose a card from your opponent's class can sometimes cause some pretty devastating results, specifically against things like Aggro Warrior, where you're taking ally armor smiths and shield blocks. But against Shaman, you know, you grab a board clear, deal with their wide board with the totems. And the fact that you additionally use it for a card draw with Auctioneer, for an extra bit of revival with Sherazin, the card is insane.
Yeah, just the fact that it's 1 mana. It's like a Swashbuckler, except instead of just being lumped with whatever Hearthstone decided to give you that day, at least you have 2 more chances of it being a decent card.
With the downside of no patches for free.
Yes, that is true. Or no board presence whatsoever, but let's have a look.
Now, Master of Evolution, also pretty interesting here. I don't know which of these Shaman 4-drops he goes with. Because Jambre could hit the weapon into the Thalnos, hit the 1-1 into the Spell Damage Totem or Face, and just upgrade the 1-1. Maybe it becomes a 3-2. Maybe it becomes a 4-4 Millhouse Mana Storm. Who knows?
Oh, what? That could not have been more perfect. Are you serious? The second you say it, it happens right before our eyes.
What can I say? It's just caster things, right?
Oh my goodness. I'm actually a little bit in shock that actually just happened immediately after you called it, but Jambre pulling that one out of the bag. The Illusionist will be the card to follow here. He's decided that he's not going to play any more rogue cards for the rest of the game.
He doesn't need to, clearly. It's all about the Shaman cards today.
It's like, you know what? I want another Shaman Mirror.
I'm stealing something from Sottle here, but it's all coming up Millhouse.
It certainly is in this game.
I admit, completely stole that from Sottle. He said that today and said he's been waiting for an opportunity to say it. Here it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Thing from below seems like one of the only real plays available. Other than that, Jade Lightning onto the Millhouse and drop your Argent Squire. Neither of them feel particularly great, but when you don't have that many options, you've got to just go for something. At least this is some kind of board presence, but definitely not a great situation. Mimic Pod feels pretty good this turn into an SI7 agent.
Oh, what? Okay, the Beast appeared on the board. Lotus Illusionist, of course, when it makes contact with the face, it turns into a 6-mana minion.
I apologize if I just broke anyone's ears there, but I'm a little bit furious on Cipher's behalf here, because this has been ridiculous, this game.
This is just what Rogue does, though. It's what Rogue does nowadays. Double Eviscerate, it never harms.
I think I'm done. I might just go home now.
Oh my!
Wind Fury!
It can't attack this turn, can it? No, it can't.
No, it can't attack this turn,
goodness.
but also without just Bloodlusting, there's no real way for Cipher to deal with this. We could be looking at next turn lethal with Wind Fury into 2 Eviscerates. He didn't go for it. But
I don't think he needs to.
I think the Rock Bite is still lethal, right?
It's a guaranteed 3 extra damage, so let's see. 3, 7, 11 damage next turn. Yeah, it's lethal if Jambre's board was to stick here.
We'll see.
No, it's not,
current
because he
removal.
traded. It's now 1 off lethal.
Well.
No, it's not. It's lethal. The weapon damage is still there. It's still lethal next turn.
Yeah.
Thing from below
12
is...
plus 11.
No.
It's the taunt. The taunt is what ruins this.
Never
but
mind.
It's not going to be played.
Jambre is going to be eliminating Cipher from the prep.
This has been a very silly game. And Jambre...
Wait, is he missing it? We did count that correctly, right? 13 damage on board, 11 damage in hand. Yeah, 13 plus 11 is 24.
He does have it.
There we go.
Wind Fury would have been a better lethal, I think, Jambre. Just saying. Not that it actually matters, because
Cipher
lethal
looks
is
mortified
lethal.
right now, by the way.
Cipher, cool as a cucumber, as ever. But it is going to be a 3-1 victory to Jambre. Cipher, the UK veteran, has just been knocked out of the Premiership. And Jambre, last season's champion, holding on with a 3-1 victory. And now with a 2-2 score.
Wow. Oh, man. Good game. Good game.